Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Eyrich from the Earth Fire Institute, located in Idaho, on the border of Idaho and Wyoming in the United States in the Rocky Mountains. And I founded and run a wildlife sanctuary called Earth Fire Institute Wildlife Sanctuary and Retreat Center. And if I look that way, a couple of miles, I see the Grand Tetons and the mountain range. So we're located on wild land with wild animals coming through. And the point of what we're trying to do is connect us humans deeply with nature. And for that reason, I love the topic. I like all the topics of the 7 days, but nature's dreaming and the question of does nature dream us into existence? And is nature communicating with us at all times? And in what ways? And I would love to explore that, if not today, some other time with all of you. One of the reasons I wanted to do the 7 days of rest is because I feel so strongly the passion and the intention and the honor and integrity with which Shelley and Jan are doing these 7 days of rest. Whatever it is flowing through them, they're adding their own integrity to it. And the importance in these times of creating a field of intention, the energy of intention, together to counteract and counterbalance everything that else is happening. So the idea is to create a safe space in 7 days and create a safe space here for us to dream together without hesitation, without worrying about being judged. What is it that we might be able to do together? What can we bring into creation together? So I don't know if there are people here or not. I can't see. So I'm going to do a reading. If there is anyone there, when I'm finished with the first reading, please feel free to respond. So it's snowing today, a thick, gentle snow. I just returned from a visit to my very old mother, her life force still strong despite her aged body. At first light, the moon was a pale, luminescent orb in a pale white sky, harbinger of a coming storm. For now, there is only the still, soft falling of white flakes drifting down from the heavens. It started slowly, tentatively, filling the air with exquisite crystals, covering, protecting. I read an article years ago that stayed in my mind. I cut it out to save it, but never could find it again. It talked about how peoples of the far north passed the long, dark Arctic nights in a half-waking, drifting, dreaming sleep, up to 15 hours a day. It's a semi-meditation, a natural meditation, a time for self-renewal and preparation for the activity of long summer days. It resonated within me with speaking to a truth of how we operate, of how we access the source of the creative process, of how we connect to something beyond us, but of which we are a part and an expression. Ever since, I have looked forward to winter as the dark and dreaming season, a time of relief from the staccato cacophony of modern-day life. It's a time for unbounded dreaming, for suspending disbelief and the overlay of civilization to reach back towards a richer, deeper source, for wonderings overshadowed by the demands of life, for loosening the tight, precise connections, the directed attention required by everyday reality. During the long dawning of light, it's the chance to enjoy the dreamlike thoughts and images of the time between sleeping and waking, energy flowing in the space between thoughts, rivulets wandering where they will, seeking to find each other, to coalesce into insight when the time is right. Reveries counterbalance our capacities for sharp, intense focus and the directing purpose of will. It's a quieting time, allowing us to tend to the surges of feelings and knowings from deep within us, to connect with an age-old knowledge, with a stream of living things, with life itself. I've got a doggy visiting me here. So I invite you to go into that place. I invite you to go and quietly meditate, not just now, but perhaps to use this as a source of inspiration about how to use the dark and how to use the time between sleeping and waking. Creativity takes place in cell time, outside clock time, slowly exploring, feeling, smelling one's way. Understandings well up like the rich nutrients of the deep ocean well up to provide nourishment for a wild profusion of life. Ancient parts of the brain follow their own path and pace, listening, tuning to something older still. Decades ago, I sat on a balcony overlooking the South China Sea at a harvest moon searching party. Sorry, it was a harvest moon watching party. As a full moon rose, a guest commented, "Art is reaching towards the eternal." Perhaps that's why we want beauty around us, why beauty soothes. There are interweavings there: beauty, creativity, renewal, being part of something larger, tuning to slower rhythms and longer cycles. The long twilights and nights dim the outer world, drawing us inward, giving us the gift of time to sense these rhythms, to tend to subtle energies and delicate connections broken, torn, disrupted during the urgent necessities and little violences of daily living. A time of rest and repair before emerging into the vibrant light of spring. The riot of life is stilled and existence stripped down to its core. Sap draws down into trees, to their roots. Creatures sleep, living beings wait, quiescent. But in the dead of winter begin the first intimations of new life, as urges within, from unknown depths and ages press. In the dark, cold, long nights of the year, snow-covered and still, begin the matings of the wolf. In the womb of bears, tiny beings grow, seeded last summer, an ounce or two of distinct presence protected inside the mothering one. In the heart of darkness, a glimmering of light. In utter stillness, the stirrings of life, renewing itself. So I invite you to take a minute or two to digest this. And then I'm going to read something else. So this reading is from Whispers from the Wild, a book that I just published. Very briefly, if anyone is interested in it. So it's a book of stories, and it's stories about the animals here and the things that they have taught me. And the animals here are all animals from the Yellowstone-Teton Wildlife Corridor, animals that are native here, bears and wolves and cougars and such. Let me see if I can find a page here. So I fall in love with all of the animals here, the bears and the wolves and the coyotes and all of them. And some animals just touch you even ever more deeply. And one of my animals was a coyote. Her name was Fairy Tale. And she was a tender, lovely, delicate, sensitive soul, very different from some of the other coyotes we had. And I think all of you know when you connect deeply with an animal, the energies that begin to flow, the insights, the feelings that begin to happen, and how you begin to get out of yourself some more. But when Fairy Tale passed away, I was close to inconsolable. And I thought some about the nature of life and dreaming. And of nature's dreaming. And a friend of mine conceived of life as a magnificent waterfall pouring into a pool, the spray rising in a myriad of iridescent droplets, each life sparkling in the sun, to eventually fall back into the pool. Faced with the vividness of personal loss, that image of being part of a larger pattern is a bit of a comfort. The famous playwright Goethe was also a brilliant scientist with insights that are only now being verified in quantum mechanics. In one of his meditations on plants, he saw, in his inner eye, he saw a field of information somewhere out in the sky, so to speak. He saw an archetypal plant, and it was the same thing for him when he redid this with animals. He saw an archetypal animal that held the possibility of plant, or the possibility of animal, the coming into being of plants or animals, infinitely flexible, out of which it was possible to develop all plant forms, all animal forms, past, present, and future. It's almost as if the universe is dreaming us into existence, one after another after another. The quote from that particular book, which is from The Wholeness of Nature, Goethe's Way of Science. Goethe wrote, "When I closed my eyes and bent my head representing to myself a flower or an animal, right at the center of the organ of sight," he's talking about the internal organ of sight, right in the center of the organ of sight, new flowers sprung out of this heart. There was no way of stopping the effusion that went on as long as my contemplation lasted, neither slowing nor accelerating. So that goes back to the question I started off with. Is nature dreaming us into existence? And one other thing I think I'll read, and then see if there's anyone who would like to discuss. So the first question I had is nature dreaming us into existence and dreaming us. The second one is nature communicating with us, and how can we learn to listen? So some years ago, there's another little pamphlet I'm reading from. For those of you here interested, you can contact me. I took a trip for 2 weeks into the wilderness just south of the Yukon. No trails, no planes overhead, no human beings, with a Native American friend and someone who was trying to save the land, which he managed to do, to be part of the Yellowstone Yukon Wildlife Corridor, the best wildlife corridor in the world, last best one. And out of that time and just space and silence and being in the resonant harmony of wilderness, I think, as we all know, when we meditate, when we're quiet, new insights, new understandings, new awarenesses, new connections arise. They're often very subtle. We can't hear them unless it's quiet. But after 2 weeks in the wilderness, riding horseback, I came to a camp by the person who was leading us. Backing up a bit, I always loved animals ever since I came into consciousness, and for some reason had a particular connection to wolves. and began to, I got a wolf hybrid when I first realized it was even possible. And then I met my partner, and he invited me to help raise some wolves. And that was the end of life as I knew it. I was a perfectly happy psychologist at the time. But I fell in love with those wolf puppies and, and founded Earthfire. So it's a very strong connection with wolves ever since I can remember being aware. Sorry for the frog in my throat. So I wrote this after days of the silence and the wind and this rain and the smell of the moths and the trees. After 9 days traveling in silence, tuned to eternal rhythms, we arrived at a lake to settle in for a week. Moments after our arrival, on the far side of the lake, 3 wolves emerged from the forest. They casually loped along the edge of the water, stopping to sniff, explore, play. They trotted along the entire length of the lake, from end to end and around, slowly disappearing into the trees. A long, unhurried visit. Beings arisen from this untrammeled place. My immediate reaction was an unexpected upwelling of tears. It felt as if they had come to welcome me. Being in a place so vast, so silent, so whole, as deeper things come to the fore, makes it possible to tune to fainter energies. Did they sense me because I love them so and come to visit? I called them without realizing. I mean, did I call them without realizing it? Physical wolves responding to spirit? The wolves came again the morning I was leaving. Perhaps it was just coincidence, nothing more than their coming just as I arrived, coming again just as I left. But how do we ever know such things? If we see it as a coincidence and it isn't, then what have we missed? So, welcome, Susan. If you would like to share anything or discuss anything before I do a little more reading, questions, stories of your own, insights of your own, things coming down from somewhere based on our having a field of 7 days of this, I would welcome anything you'd like to say.
Hi. I know, Susan, I met you, I don't know where, in a Zoom. I just knew when I saw you, I'm like, oh, the wolf lady. Um, I don't know. It could have been last year in 7 Days of Rest. You were here, right? So I just feel really connected that nature's really happy to see some of us waking up and that nature's dreaming us awake. And it's our choice or realization if we come to if we realize we're connected to all of nature. And I feel like that's what the wolves did for you. And then that changed your whole life. So it's kind of a wet, weird day here in Virginia. It was icy. Now it's raining, but I'm safe at home. And I'm just glad I can participate with you today. So my dogs are here, my cat is here. So it's just really nice to be with you and thank you.
I think that's such a really, you know, once it brings some tears to my eyes, the beauty of your insight. Is nature dreaming us awake? That's beautiful. Yeah. And kind of connected to that is it, how is nature communicating with us? And yes, the wolves did that for me. And I have no idea how I kind of got there, except I loved them, as I said, ever since I was little. And then I got the wolf hybrid because that was the closest I could get to a wolf at that time. And that led to everything else. So it's kind of like maybe leading me since I can remember. And perhaps one of the ways we can communicate with nature, I call it following my nose. It smells right. I think other people, you probably use other senses, but just following my nose. And it's so subtle. It's so easy not to hear it. We really must be supporting one another to try and, which is what the 7 days is for, which is why I so value it. I don't know when you came on if I don't want to repeat anything that I did.
I I was here, I don't know, 12:04 or something. Was trying to
Oh,
get
okay.
in. It's
Okay.
good. You don't have to, but and I don't know if I have bad background, but I apologize. Let me turn this.
Why would I care?
The 7 days of rest has been, and I didn't realize it was the seventh year of the 7 year calling of Shelley. I didn't know she had the 7 year calling. And like following your nose, I always know when it's spirit or source or nature, or consciousness calling, when my ego doesn't want to do it. Right? No, no, I don't, really? Then I'm like, and then if you resist, I feel if I resist, it'll just keep calling me. And so I'm trying to learn to quickly accept the mission given. And I just feel like you did that years ago, or maybe when you just knew you had a calling with the wolves. And I really feel that all of the animals are they're just waiting for us. They don't have to wake up. They're awake, right? And you know, I hope they are dreaming us awake. I hope, there are assistants, and I believe the animals and the planet and Earth wants us to get on board, or we just probably won't be around here that much longer. So let's hope that all happens. So thank you very much.
What you said, oh, thank you. What you said, but the animal's waiting for us, that's how I experience it. I experience him saying, well, my partner would say, the animal would say to him through images, why aren't they listening? And one of the magic things was how he listened and listens. Um, my experience here is that every single one of them, well, some more than others, but still every single one of them wants to connect. They want to connect. And here at Earthfire, it's safe for them to connect because no one's going to hunt them or trap them or poison them. It's safe. And in that environment, they come forward. But I don't think it's true only of the animals here. Here they feel safe, but the underlying urge to connect, I think, is of all life. All life wants to connect with all life, in the way I feel it, and is waiting for us. And they don't understand what's the matter with us. And I feel sad for us humans. Um, we're missing out on so much, and it's just really hard to be human. At the end of the book, I wrote something, a coda. It says, a child, this addresses what you're saying. A child crawls towards a puppy, inexorably drawn, and the puppy responds. We go to the forest for solace, sensing the peace that resonates from a harmonious community of life forms. We receive it. Life recognizes life. Hi, doggies. Life is attracted to life. Life exults in life. Connection with any life form creates a glow. Through that bridge, energy flows and we thrive. That's our inheritance, what we instinctively know. That's what we've been torn from as we live in an increasingly slow, soulless, frantic, man-made world. This is what we can and must return to. It's quite simple, really. If we come from a sense of belonging to the community of life, that will guide us. It's not easy, but possible. It's essential. It's fascinating. It's satisfying, and it's fun. If you have any more thoughts, I'd like to hear them. But if you're good, that's fine. I'm going to do one more reading, but I don't want to not hear anything you want to say.
I'm listening. I love listening to you read from your book.
Okay. One more. This is a little section in the book. They're mostly animal stories of animals here. This is called Beauty, Healing, and Hope. We yearn for the companionship of life forms other than our own, be it birds, cats, dogs, horses, fish, plants, or a forest. We can expand the sense of connection to wild animals, even if we can't meet them personally, by learning about them, by being aware of their existence and needs, and perhaps even by connecting with them on a non-local level. And here I say, as Penelope connected with Teton, that's a particular story in the book where Penelope Smith, an animal communicator, connected with Teton Totem, a grizzly bear, when he was paralyzed and helped heal him, and he was healed. Perhaps even by connecting with him on a non-local level, as Penelope connected with Teton. Loving an animal opens a channel to them, and I think the universe. For me, it was a stray kitten, and then wolf puppies. But any living being can be a conduit to the magic. What matters is that we love, which invites the life force to course through ourselves and the other in a nourishing interchange, keeping us healthy and refreshed. Life thrives in companionship, connection, energy flow, and mutual discovery of each other. By knowing the wild ones are there and sensing who they are, sharing the journey of life with us, we're more likely to consider them in our choices and decisions. This can be as simple as where and how we build or travel, what materials, what material, what materials we use, and what we consume. Their needs are simple: space, water, and food. We only need to leave them some. Scientists have concluded that life on our Earth will thrive if we leave 50% of it intact in intact ecosystems. That seems fair. The animals are asking for our help, and they can help us, grounding us in our hearts and bodies, reconnecting us to each other and our Earth from whence we all arose. When we expand our sense of community to include all of life existing together on this planet, we can envision and move towards a dream of how it could be on our Earth with one another. May we find our way. May we walk in green pastures, great forests, and peace, and a profound sense of companionship with all the life around us. May we use our incredible brains and hearts to commune with and passionately protect the enchanted world in which we've been given to live. Watch over it, defend it, cherish it, care for it with all the determination of a mother grizzly protecting her cubs, with all the heart-stirring tenderness of a wolf family caring for its young. We're all in this together on this burdened little planet in the vast cold darkness of space. Great beauty and joy is available. All life is in relationship interdependent. We're each singular expressions of one creative force, not the same and not separate. If we really understood that and lived accordingly, what kind of world could we create? So that's what I wanted to share today. Thank you, all of you, for attending, or those who are going to listen in the future. You can contact me, find me at Earthfire Institute on the website. Just look up at Earthfire Institute, and I'd be very happy to hear from you. So goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye, Susan.